It's just 2 weeks now till the Jake Paul and Nate Diaz fight takes place August 5th. Dallas and many fighters have been giving out their predictions on how they see the fight unfolding. Considering thus far in Jake Paul's boxing career, he's beaten every UFC fighter, being Anderson Silva, Tyron Woodley twice, and Ben Askren. You would assume the same theme will continue. Make sure to stick around till the end of the video for the full details. We all know Jake Paul likes to play his mind games with his opponents before the fight, where most of the time he makes a bet which leaves the opponent confused. And in this instance with Nate Diaz, it is a little more interesting. Jake Paul, who is already committed to a boxing match, is still open to taking on Nate Diaz in the octagon. After their fight in the boxing ring, Paul wants to confront Diaz again in MMA. Paul is joined with the PFL, Professional Fighters League, an organization that competes with the UFC. So it would be a great business move to have Nate Diaz as his first MMA fight in the PFL. The social media star turned boxer recently tweeted out, "For all the clowns saying, why don't you fight Nate Diaz in the cage? I made that offer to him from the start. $10 million to fight me in PFL after we box on August 5th. Offer is still there, Nathan. Hashtag Paul Diaz." The numbers their boxing fight will do will be pretty good, but stepping into an octagon against a veteran like Nate Diaz would destroy PPV numbers, and UFC fans would definitely want to see that happen. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the post notification bell. This way you'll never miss out on any future celebrity videos similar to these. A few days ago, Nate Diaz was actually caught by paparazzi and asked if he would take up Jake on the MMA match for $10 million.
I don't know if you saw, but Jake tweeted earlier today that the offer is still on the table for there to be an MMA match after you guys fight, because he's calling out the people that are saying that offer was never on the table. What's your response to that?
That's what happens. Fight out the way.
Right. So is that's not a thing that you don't think that's going to happen, or you're not sure? Oh, okay.
What happened? Right.
Oh yeah, he said it's $10 million.
For what?
For the $10 million offer for you guys to fight in the cage.
It'll cost more than that.
Nice.
A typical Nate Diaz way of responding to a question. It would be interesting to hear if Nate even made $10 million from any single UFC fight, because with the pay they receive over there, I highly doubt it. But first, Paul must concentrate on defeating Diaz in their boxing match, and he has adjusted his coaching strategy to ensure that happens. Paul is now reconnected with former three-weight world champion Shane Mosley for this camp after previously working with BJ Flores for his most recent fights. "This is the best camp by far," Paul said while speaking on his YouTube show BS with Jake Paul. Then Paul's friend said that it might be because of his new trainer, because he has improved as a fighter. "I guess that's more so for you guys to comment on from the outside point of view, because I feel different and I'm dancing and having fun," Paul replied. "They're letting me as the fighter paint my painting. Boxing is an art, and now they're letting me be the artist. Before that was taken away from me." When Jake Paul first started coming onto the fight scene, he was a lot more controversial and reckless with the things he would say. There was, of course, the infamous Conor McGregor call-out video at his old Team 10 house, where he was smoking a cigar with an Ireland flag wrapped around him, calling him an Irish C-word. Nate Diaz has made it clear that even though he has a past with McGregor and is looking to set the trilogy up, he's going to make Jake Paul pay for disrespecting fighters. Nate Diaz recently spoke with bodybuilder and YouTuber Bradley Martin about the forthcoming fight with Jake Paul in depth and how he didn't like his demeanor. He stated when he was talking SHIT to Conor and dissing his wife and SHIT on some real disrespectful SHIT. Nate explains how no one spoke up against Paul about these concerns, pushing him to tell the problem child to shut the F up. "I'm gonna whoop your ASS for real." Before we go further into the video and see different fighters' predictions on how they see the fight going down, I'm interested to hear your guys' thoughts on the bout and how you see it going down. Will the youth and boxing experience over the past 5 years make Jake victorious, or will Nate's ring experience and past competitors enable him to get the win? Comment down below. Speaking about Conor McGregor and how Nate Diaz defended him, around a month ago he was asked who he thought would come out on top in his boxing match against Jake, and his answer wasn't surprising.
What do you think of that Nate Diaz Jake Paul fight?
I think Nate Diaz slaps the head off, and I look forward to seeing it.
Are you gonna go to Dallas August 5th in Dallas? Would you be ringside for that?
Jesus, I'll probably be on the Lamborghini just off the coast of Sicily. I'll be on the Lamborghini off the coast of Sicily.
Hey, but you got Nate though. You're picking Nate?
I think so, Nate. I think Nate.
That's what's up.
Nate.
It'll be interesting to see what happens if Jake Paul does beat Nate Diaz August 5th and maybe even KOs him. It could easily set up a boxing bout between Jake Paul and Conor McGregor. And if that does happen, it would destroy PPV numbers. Jake Paul himself recently stated in an interview with TMZ Sports that there's no doubt in his mind about getting a KO on Diaz. He did not, however, say in which round he will be successful in doing so. The lion lost. I've retreated back into the jungle. I took notes of everything. I got better, I trained, and now this lion is going to come out and maul this dude. And he's going to have to pay. He's going to have to pay for all this hard work, all this sacrifice I've made in this camp. In the UFC, Sean Strickland is renowned for his violent kickboxing abilities. However, the fighter is best known for his bizarre and uninformed views on specific subjects. It's safe to say he's made his stance clear on the Jake Paul vs. Diaz fight, as he tweeted out, "Jake Paul vs. Nate Diaz, such an effing joke." I'm not hating on either for making money of this clown show. I'm hating on the fact a retired 155er is fighting a juiced TikToker at 185 who lost to a recreational boxer, Tommy Fury. Stop watching this BS. It needs to die. Although it's a wild statement, there are parts of it you could agree with because weight classes are there for a reason, especially in boxing. The catch weight for this fight is 185 pounds, and the highest weight Nate has ever fought in his career was 170 pounds. So it's quite a jump to say the least. As their boxing battle draws near, another UFC legend, Dustin Poirier, has asserted that Jake Paul has an advantage against Nate Diaz. Man, Jake's younger, bigger, faster. It's not an easy fight. Just because Nate's a grizzled veteran with the right experience and Jake's a new guy who's on YouTube, he's got the money and the amenities to surround himself with the best people and dedicate himself to fighting. And he's younger and more explosive. And I think Diaz's boxing is good for MMA. It's a completely different thing. Which, although a lot of UFC fanatics won't like to hear it, what Dustin is saying is logical and true. He gets overlooked by the majority of combat sports fans, but he's clearly applying himself where needed, and the fact he has switched camps for this fight in particular shows he's coming with vengeance. Interestingly, Jake Paul's former opponent, Anderson Silva, came out and gave his prediction, and he went against the odds makers. Jake has now some good experience in boxing and is learning every day, but Nate is a beast. When you go to fight him, you need to prepare for war. I think he has more experience and is the favorite. Anyway, this concludes today's video. Be sure to subscribe to LoafTube for future celebrity videos and turn on that post notification bell so you don't miss out on any future uploads. Until then, see you in the next one.